Hey, get the payday. You want payday? I know that. I was born ready. Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga. What really happened? Now, enough of you guys asked for this video, so here it is. And I'm just going to tell you right off the rip that this ain't going to be the breakdown that some of y'all want to hear, because you can take my word for it or you can listen to Brand X who's saying whatever. This fight to me wasn't really close. I think there's a lot of people who are over amping and glorifying Berlanga's effort here. And I'm not saying this to be mean or conniving. It's just what I've seen. And I thought that Berlanga didn't really show up to the level that a lot of you guys are making it out to be. Now, I get it. He showed standard heart, but that's standard issue. You're a fighter. Most fighters have heart. There are some fighters who quit when the going gets tough, but I think more often than not, that's pretty much standard issue, that a person who takes punches to the face for a living has heart. So you're not going to really see me overly praise that. And that's pretty much what I've seen. The other issue is I made a video about it, but they say Berlanga weighed almost 200 pounds. So you being younger, you're supposed to be a knockout artist. You were talking all that NYC slick talk and talking spicy. And then you caught pleas after the fight and you weighed almost 200 pounds. So for me, I'm just talking about the boxing. I think the separator is what I do. There's no emotion to it. I'm not bringing in my emotions to it. And I think it's like a movie. People care about how the movie made them feel. But I'm breaking down the fight and like breaking the movie down. Was it a good movie? Or you just felt good at the end of it? And for me, I thought this was not really the type of fight that I'm reading in the comment section. So again, you can take my word for it or not. But Berlanga being almost 200 pounds, I think he really should have tried to go out on his shield more. And I think he was making little small stands and attempts to show like I have heart and I'm still here. But he really wasn't doing anything to win the fight. That's what I seen. Like the fight started to get away from him a lot. And he was just jabbing. Like, let me just jab. He was completely outgunned, outmatched, trying to jab. And then, you know, he would do these little small stands where he would try to bomb on Canelo and land something big. But I feel like it was just enough to not make the fight abysmal. And, you know, it made for some entertainment because it's like, all right, the guy's still here. But I think a big portion of why he was still here was the fact that he weighed so much. And, you know, he's just younger. Canelo has some wear and tear on him and things like that. But I didn't really see the same effort that a lot of people are making it out to be. I think given Berlanga's trash talk leading up to the fight and a lot of what he was saying, you look at how big he looked next to Canelo. He had youth on his side. He said he's the next superstar. He's taking over for Puerto Rico, and he's not just coming to lay down. He really didn't make good on any of these promises. And I think it became an issue where he was like, I'll learn from this. I'm going to do a little bit so people don't say I went out like Jermell Charlo in the Canelo fight, but I'm outmatched here. So I'll take little small pocket chances, not really much, and then I'll learn from this. And he seemed like he was content just going the distance with Canelo Alvarez. Like it was like a weak try to get off me jab and frantic. Canelo was bombing on him. There were also moments of this fight that I thought were truly bizarre. Some from Canelo, but mostly from Berlanga, where he was doing these weird things, which further let me know he was inexperienced and that he wasn't winning the fight. There was moments where he used his head and he rammed at Canelo, and Canelo pushed him off, like stiff armed him, and then fired on him and connected. Like, that's such a rookie mistake. If you foul a fighter, you literally fouled Canelo on some Victor Ortiz stuff. That shows mental lapses just right there. We seen what happened to Victor Ortiz. Then my thing is this. It's such a rookie mistake to think you're going to openly and flagrantly foul a veteran like Canelo and he's not going to get mad and respond and retaliate. So I thought that was super weird that he leaned in and like rammed him like he was some kind of goat or something, and was like pushing him with his head, and then Canelo stiff armed him and then just bombed on him with, I think it was a right hand, and he took the whole shot and it looked stupid, and then the ref kind of came in and broke it up. So there were weird moments like that from Berlanga. He was doing the Generation X, like doing weird stuff. You're not in control of this fight. I love showmanship type of fighters. My favorite fighters, I've told you, Prince Nassim Hamed, the Roy Jones Jr.'s, the Mike Tysons, the Floyd Mayweathers, they all have had that in their careers. Muhammad Ali, where they're doing these theatrics and stuff and histrionics, but to not be in firm control of the fight and then doing it, you just look foolish. Then another weird moment was when Berlanga gets dropped. He has this tick, I'm going to call it a tick, where he always, when he starts getting bombed on and vicious shots are connecting and he gets dropped or he gets dropped or something like that, he started punching his gloves together. And that's literally, he was in the process. Canelo hit him with a crazy left hook that was fast as heck, and it connected, spun his head like that. He looked foolish. He goes down, and then Berlanga's on the ground like hitting his gloves. And I'm like, who does that? Like, what does that do? That, to be honest, that is such a bad tick to do that, because now you make it easy for the opponent, your ops, to identify what they've done was successful, right? I believe in the art of war, Sun Tzu, 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. So I believe there's some skullduggery and a strategy needed and a poker face. I've seen fighters that get dropped and they have no facial expression. If you can get closer to that, I think that'll serve you well as a fighter. Berlanga, he's letting it be known, and you're only amplifying the work Canelo did by punching your gloves. Similarly, when Terrence Crawford dropped Sean Porter, and then he gets on all fours and he's like, bah, bah, and he starts punching the canvas like this is a Creed movie. Ah, why? That's weird. That is a weird thing to do, because not only did Terrence Crawford drop Sean Porter, you got him throwing a tantrum or whatever that was, like on some Creed, Michael B. Jordan, punching the ground, like ground and pounding the canvas. And then same thing with Berlanga. He hitting his gloves on the ground. You're only amplifying it and making it look worse. It also, another example was, I believe it was the third Pacquiao fight. I believe, ported by when Pacquiao dropped Bradley, he did like a full-on backflip somersault, and he's rolling around, and his butt was in the air. And I'm like, you just made it look like Pacquiao is Thanos or something. Like he the Filipino Thanos, and he just punched you so crazy that you doing gymnastics. He turns you into Simone Biles or Dominique Dawes, and you got Bradley looking stupid, flipping around and stuff. It was so exaggerated. I hope you guys know boxing enough to know what I'm talking about. It looked absolutely crazy. Oh, I think I found it. In the Pacquiao fight, this man Bradley rolled around and did a Usher, you remind me of a girl that I once knew. So he went from this position and did a full like handstand, and then he hit a backflip, and it just looked so ridiculous. Just look at these pictures, bro. Like Pacquiao did all that, and he did like a full like 180 backflip. These pictures just look stupid. Look, he tooted. I believe he will be tooted and booted. Bro, Pacquiao just hit you that hard that you did all this extra. So I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan of like all this. Look, it looked like he got hit by a car. like he got hit by a Ford F-150. Like he just got crunched up and flipping around. And I've never been a fan of that. I think I understand you're hurt and stuff like that, but you got to try to have a poker face. Berlanga, that was such a weird move when he was punching his gloves every time Canelo was destroying him. And again, I think for Berlanga, it became more about like the image. He didn't really go out on his shield like some of y'all are making it out to be. That's the point I'm making. He was getting punched up. A lot of people were like giving all this praise. I seen him getting punched on. Post-fight, Berlanga was saying that he was Canelo, one of his toughest opponents outside of Floyd and stuff. I didn't see none of that, bro. Canelo, I think, if anything, Canelo fighting a 200-pound man nearly, and you having youth, some durability, plus the fact that you were making Canelo mad. So I think that got Canelo off his game plan a little bit, right? Because he was angry. You were headbutting him and things like that. I think ultimately Canelo wasn't able to get the stoppage, but it's really my breakdown. I didn't see Berlanga doing all this crazy stuff. Now, will he learn from this? Absolutely. Learn from the experience. But I feel like people are making it as if he put up this valiant, crazy effort. He was just doing little small pocket things here and there to show signs of life, but not nearly what was needed to actually win the fight. Here's a ego fun fact. Berlanga landed 10 more punches than Jermell Charlo. Now, the biggest difference is Jermell was coming from 54, so that was more of an uphill battle because he was coming from 54 to 168. So he's moving up 2 weight classes. So there was only so much Jermell Charlo was likely to do. That's another reason I don't want to see the Crawford Canelo fight, because that's moving up in weight. Jermell Charlo had to eat up and probably eat steaks and a lot of protein trying to make the 168 and fill out. Berlanga, on the other hand, was a 6'1" guy, bigger than Canelo already, and then he rehydrated to 193. So you're supposed to, I would imagine you should probably, he's talking about ring IQ and stuff. I imagine having maybe a reach advantage, height, size advantage, you probably should have landed more than 10 punches more than a guy moving up 2 weight classes like a Jermell Charlo. So to me, this wasn't this legendary performance. I think Berlanga's youth and size was the only thing that kept him kind of upright, but he did not deliver on the trash talk that he was saying, right? I think, as I've said, he just got to a point where he wasn't going to sell out and try to get the victory, like, because it would have got worse for him and he probably would have got knocked out. So it got to a point where he was like, I don't want to get embarrassed crazy, so I'm going to do just enough to not get knocked out. And, you know, he also got under Canelo's skin, so he would land a couple shots like this, things like that. But it is what it is. Canelo won the fight. There's a lot of people hating, and we gotta improve boxing. Some people have this vendetta against Canelo to the point where they're like, yeah, but he should have stopped him. If you actually know boxing, you're gonna know you're not gonna stop everybody. For one, this man got 60 fights, plus the guy weighed 193. David Benavidez fought Vostik. He looked huge and jacked and muscular. Same kind of concept. It becomes harder to stop a guy who's more in survival mode, and they got size and frame, and they're doing little nuanced things to show you that, hey, I'm still semi-dangerous if you get out of line. No more, no less. So I feel like it's a similar fight to the Benavidez not stopping Vostik in that regard. It's a little bit similar. You're not going to stop everybody, especially when they're big and bigger than you. But the same goes with, you're not going to win the fight not fighting, not doing more when you're losing, when you're digging a hole like Berlanga, like Vostik versus Benavidez. You're building an immense hole. You're going to have to get busy. Like, so if you've been throwing 10 punches around, you got to up that to 30, 35 if you truly wanted to win. So I think a lot of people, they thought Berlanga was going to get knocked out, so they're giving him a lot of credit that he didn't get knocked out. And making it like he did much better than he expected. Canelo hasn't had a knockout in a minute. To be honest, he didn't knock out John Ryder. And again, John Ryder, you look at his effort, he had injuries and he's about Canelo's size. So to me, that's about the same level of heart and impressiveness, because it's a guy that's Canelo's size that didn't rehydrate to some crazy proportion. So I think why people are taking it kind of lightly on Berlanga, you should have expected more, because Berlanga was young. Like, John Ryder was closer to Canelo's age. He was close to Canelo's size, and he goes the distance with the injury. So people didn't overly praise that. They're like, oh, he got beat up. But then for Berlanga, who's weighing 193, he's 6'1", and was talking about he's going to knock Canelo out in 6 rounds. He dropped the dud. Like, I don't even really know how many rounds you could give Berlanga. And then at the end of the fight, his whole demeanor switched. He was like, oh, this is Canelo's my idol, and I've always watched and loved Canelo. I was just selling the fight. And this is what happens in the sport of boxing. Canelo said it. He said, it's easy to say these things. You don't knock me out in 6 rounds and stuff. It's harder to do. So that's the realest breakdown. What went on, Canelo Berlanga, what really happened.